Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education, a podcast that focuses on what is happening in education today, connecting everyone to the movers and shakers that are breaking boundaries in the education arena.
Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education. Jerry, this is going to be a good one today because I always love to hear the new technologies that are happening in the classroom. I miss it. You know, I used to be a science teacher and I used to do all of this fun stuff and I miss it a lot. So I'm looking
You're
forward
having
to hearing
FOMO.
that. I'm having FOMO. I'm having
You are
FOMO.
having FOMO.
Hopefully today will get me back in the groove of, and I
Well,
feel
Kim,
good connected.
Yeah, well, and I always hear about things like virtual reality, and I think, well, how did people even use that? So today, I think we're going to get to find out. Our guest is Dr. Kim Abel. We both met her this summer in San Antonio at ISTE at RT. We were so thrilled to meet her, and once we heard her story, we knew we had to have her on the podcast, because she is definitely breaking some boundaries in education. So, Kim, welcome to the LinkedUp podcast. We're so happy to have you here today.
I appreciate you inviting me and to have the opportunity to talk to you about some of my favorite things.
Absolutely. And you're coming to us from Florida.
Our school is based in Florida. I'm actually coming to you from Mississippi.
Well,
we're all over the place.
See, that's how we're breaking boundaries, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly part of it. Yes, and you are with a group, a school, a virtual school called Optima Academy. Tell us a little bit about Optima Academy and how you got started and how you
All
got
right. A little bit of background. So Optima Academy Online, we're a virtual school that started 4 years ago, and we started based in Florida. And like I said, we've spread a little bit now and are continuing to spread. So we started 4 years ago with this idea of how do we have a common connection in the virtual space? And we realized that virtual reality is our answer. And to have this immersive experience where students can join from their homes but come together in this space, then we can have this interaction that is a lot more personal than what we'll refer to as a checkerboard of a Teams or a Zoom call. And so we started with 168 students 4 years ago for about 3 through 8th grade. And today we have over 1,200 4 years later. And we have our kindergarten through 3rd grade that we do not put in headsets, but we have very age-appropriate introduction. We actually send them kits of Play-Doh and different technologies for them to use. And we show them how to use technology with their families and prepare them for the experience as they grow into our 4th grade. So 4th grade through 11th grade now, next year will be 12th. We wanted our 8th graders to be our first graduates. But we go in every day in every subject area from their homes. They'll start in a Teams meeting. They'll have a 50-minute lesson, and then they'll go into virtual reality where we're able to have exploration, discussions, interactions, and they come back out. Their day ends around 12, and then we have individualized instruction from 1 to 3 if they need assistance. And we've been able to shorten the teaching to Monday through Thursday because it's a little bit more efficient. So it's really been neat, some of the different things that we've done in this space. So that's in a nutshell, that's Optima Academy Online. And we are the experimental school then that assists with the growth of the Optima Ed product that can go into individual, different schools, independent and public around the nation.
Oh, I love that. I have some experience with virtual school. In 2010, I started the Kansas Online Learning Program. I remember sending out those kits, but I also remember the stories that came out of virtual school were just simply amazing. All the different reasons that our students are in virtual school. But what we didn't have was the virtual reality. And I would love for you to give me an example of how you use that.
Yes. I'll give you a very easy example. The first year we started where I said, wait a second, this is different. And it was in 3rd grade, and I was teaching ELA, and we were in a Teams meeting, and I had about 25 students with me. And I thought, you know what, when we get into VR, we are going to have to just really do a lot in there to work and to build, and I don't want to waste any time. So I'm going to have, as they come in, I'm going to have this experience with my students in Teams where we're going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to talk about our week, and then we're going to jump in there. And what I realized is even after that, as soon as they got into VR, they immediately went to grab each other's hands in avatar form because they had a sense of connection. They immediately looked at each other and said, I love your outfit. Now, at that time, they only had like 3 outfits to choose from. But again, this sense of connection and this feeling that you're with friends and that you're a part of something bigger. And then that very same group got to meet towards the end of the school year. And when they met live, it wasn't like they were running up and, hi, how are you? I mean, it was full hug embrace because they were used to grabbing each other's hands in the metaverse and seeing that sense of connection.
Yes.
So you take them into this space, and this is where just some really cool experiences happen.
That's so cool because in the virtual schools, they could have that sense of not feeling connected. But the VR allows you to bridge that. And so students do have a better sense of connection in that way.
Well,
That's
it even opens up doors to students that you normally see, like in a Teams meeting, they don't want their cameras on.
right.
Or they're not able to attend a brick and mortar school because there's a high degree of anxiety. Maybe they've been bullied, or maybe they have some different issues medically, whatever that reason is. When you step into the metaverse and we ask them to create their avatars close to their person as they can so that we can have a sense of connection to them, but they are able to openly talk. And you see students and personalities just come alive that you didn't. And so we've got this great counseling team that then encourages, well, if you're talking like this here, can you talk like this in our teams? Well, do you want to meet with friends, at McDonald's for lunch? And so we're using this in multiple levels.
Oh, it's so incredible.
It starts there with these just hello and the connections and the relationship building. So it starts there. But then you go out into the subject areas and leverage it in that way as well, right?
Oh, yes. And that's where things come alive. And I actually met this morning with iReady. We use iReady for a progress monitoring. And she ran our report last year from those students who started with us through the spring. And she said, wow, your students are growing above the normal 100%. What is it that you're doing? And I just held up my headset. I said, we're submersing them, and the retention is real. And so we have like what we consider levels of impact on students, and we train our teachers according to levels of impact. So for example, if you are going into a virtual lesson and you have purchased maybe a recorded experience, like you're going to go on a trip to the moon and you're going to get on the spaceship in your travel, that's a recorded experience. That's immersive. And the students are going to remember that, and that's sticky.
Sure.
It also gets boring after a while. We call that level 1. And you want to use those, in a patient way. A level 2 is when all of a sudden this teacher goes, I know my students. I know their needs. I know the objectives we're going to meet. I am going to create a place. And so our teachers learn how to build these spaces on our platform. That's a level 2. A level 3 is actually where your students are going to build. So if you're reading a book and you're saying, okay, what is the environment of this?
Yes.
What does this look like? And what does this mean to you? And I just, there was a really neat experience where we were in a small town and the students were building a courthouse. And then they played out the scene in the courthouse the next day that they had created, but they were even looking at the text saying, you forgot to do an arch door. You need to do it straight. But what happens when we then lift what they created and put it into a contemporary city? Now what connections do you have with text where you're saying, would that have been a different experience in a different, this setting if we had placed it somewhere else? So do you see where we can play with things with literature now that you can no longer do? So that's moving. So again, growing into a level 4 where teachers and students are creating together. A level 5, that's our future of academic engineering. But anyway, I just want you to understand there's so many different things that we can do within this space and utilize this space for educational purposes, with both the teacher creating specific to the needs and the students creating to show what they know.
Yes. And the level of engagement and detail must be so much richer than just reading a book and describing the courthouse. When you're building it, you're really paying attention.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're doing. And it's in all the subject areas. I just left a class this morning, an experience this morning where, what does it look like under the sea? When we have these
Ooh.
coral reefs, what happens? Well, let's count them. Let's grid them. Let's see what happens. But then what happens after the first bleaching? How many of these now how much coral now is now disappearing? And now how do we replace it? What can we do? And so they're in those spaces. It's very memorable, but they're engaging.
Yes.
They're engaging with that location.
Well, that's
That
what it
is
sounds like. It sounds like it's
incredible.
more than just memorable, because when they have to start creating, there are a lot of questions they need answered. So they
Yes.
can't just build and say, oh, yeah, look how cool. There's a lot more intentionality that has to go into it. And that immersive concept really takes flight, because they have to start navigating and really be able to produce this in the way that they want to. So that's when that questioning guides their creation. That's
And that's
fascinating.
exactly. That's how we train our teachers. Why did you choose this IFX? How does this fit with the text that you read? Or how does this represent the scientific? So you're saying you want to represent force. What elements do you need here? And what type of force are you creating with this? And it just makes a very rich discussion. And to hear the students together is just amazing, as they learn to question each other
imagine
on
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Now, that leads me to another question. How do you find teachers that are open to this kind of experience? Do you need to train them once they get there? Are they ready for this? How do you?
Oh, nobody's ready for this. As a matter of fact, the first thing I say to them is, we are a lot. Are you ready?
We're a lot.
And we are a lot, but we look for something specific. As I interview teachers, it's almost like within
Yes.
5 to 10 minutes, I can tell.
Mm.
And it's a way that they respond. And we have teachers that come from different areas, that speak different languages. We have teachers that were award winners. We have teachers fresh out of college. We have teachers from all different sides. But there's something very specific that you hear in their voice. It is an excitement and a passion. It is an ability, what we call, to fail beautifully. It is this understanding that I have to step into a space and just try. I was in a classroom last week, and it was in a castle, and the students were running around matching IFXs to pieces of literature for their vocabulary. And all of a sudden, you see this shield explode, so large it's almost going to break out the session. Oh, am I cutting on you?
I think you cut out again. So if you can go back to where you said you were in the classroom, it was a castle.
Yes. So we were in the classroom with this castle. And as we were in this space, I saw the IFX, those are our 3D, like a 3D model type of thing. They were starting to take these knights and stretch them huge and all this. And you saw, and the teacher's like, oh no, we have to take care of this. We have to shrink them down to size. And so I quickly helped her, and I showed her how to lock them into place until the students were ready to use them again. And I just looked at her, and she goes, I am so embarrassed that you're in here, as I made this mistake. And I said, do you know how thrilled I am that I saw that you tried this process for the first time? She's just a new student. I could not have been more excited. And of course, by the next class, she had the system down. The next class, it was even better. But that's on Fridays. Every Friday, we actually don't teach on Fridays. We talk about our beautiful failures. We talk about what we learned. And we think, all the teachers are involved in some type of active research and what will be more effective. And we spend our Friday mornings just embedded in those conversations.
It's so important, because not only do your teachers, and of course, have to be curious, right? They have to be risk takers. And so it sounds like you, as you interview, you can hear that in their voices. You can figure out if they're risk takers or not. But because always, regardless of whether they're virtual teachers or regular teachers, all good teachers are risk takers. But they can only do that with the support of their administration. And so you not only support, you encourage. They have to be a risk taker to be a teacher in your school. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we like to say patience and grace. A teacher
Yeah.
coming from a brick and mortar space, it will take up to 3 months for them to acclimate.
Sure.
But we
Sure.
give them that grace. And so our lessons at the first week or two, as they're talking through it, we can hear in the back of our heads, we can hear what we call the brick and mortar in them. Sometimes we hear a little worksheet in them. Sometimes we hear a little rote memory in them. And we nod politely, and then we just kind of guide. So we
Yeah.
match all of our teachers into teams of 5 that we call mentor pods, because who's going to mentor whom? You know, your teacher that's been teaching for 20 years and this expert versus this
Oh,
kid out
you
of
cut out.
college. Oh, I apologize. My internet is showing that I am connected, so I'm not quite sure why I'm cutting on you. I apologize for that.
That's okay. This time you didn't freeze. We saw you talking, but we didn't hear you. So it was kind of different every time. So start back with the mentor pods.
Yeah.
So the mentor pods. So this mentor pods are a group of about 5 teachers that we have together. And we talk about this, you know, who's going to mentor whom? Do we have this teacher of 20 years that is just an expert in content? Do we have this student fresh out of college that has been, you know, raised and born in this technology that just can walk into VR and create things like you can't believe? We just all mentor each other. Everyone brings something to the table. So we looked at the strengths and weaknesses of teachers at the beginning of the year, and we asked them, what do you want out of your mentor team? And so we do. We look at their strengths and weaknesses. We put them together at the beginning, and we ask them, what do you want to gain from your mentor pod? What do you want to give to your mentor pod?
Oh, nice.
So some will say, I don't feel as strong in my VR skills. I'd like to have someone in my mentor pod that is a strength there. And the others, I'll say, I'm not as good with individualization. Can you help find someone who has mastered that in this new space and put me with them? And then they meet every week. And then they just become so tight that at the end of the year, everyone begs me, please do not remove me from my mentor pod. And I do. And then we reshift and we start all over again. But it gives support and help.
Yes.
You know, in a brick and mortar, you can go into the hallway and grab someone. We need that in this space too. And that's what this does for these teachers.
It is essential. Absolutely. Can you, what percentage of the day are students immersed? Are they in VR?
So they have 4 periods in the morning if they're from 4th grade up to 8th grade. And so they're going to be in VR like in a 50-minute time period. They're going to be in VR about 10 minutes to 40 minutes of that time. And then we want them to come out. This is the good, true, and beautiful. We want you to be able to, you know, run around for a little bit or, you know, get a drink or a snack, and then they come back in again. But again, it starts in teams. That's where a teacher will open up. And we talk about teams being a space. So what background you put, what you wear, what you're showing, this is all part of space. And then it ties in and it rolls into this virtual reality space as well. So we try and have that continuity of flow going back and forth. Now, our high school students and some of our middle school students, like our music course is in the afternoon. Our high school students have 2 periods after lunch, so between 1 and 3 as well. And then we also have this individualized instruction, small group instructions with teachers between 1 and 3. And that's where they can choose to go into VR or not. And then students also have their individual link where they can go independently, not with friends, but they'll go in to complete assignments and do things like that. So it's kind of up to them how much time it's going to take them in that space.
Now, do you, just some specifics here, do you send them the VR goggles?
Yes.
As part of the
we're a public
process?
Yeah, we're a public charter school. And so that's part of the process is as they come to us, then we send them the VR headset that has our secure system on it. So the only thing that they can access is our Engage platform. And then they'll go straight into their courses. And then we have kind of those safety features around it so that it's kind of like a public school where you go in and then the school gets locked at certain hours. And we try to keep it, you know, just as safe and efficient as we can.
Does anybody have trouble getting dizzy or anything with the goggles?
Oh, yes, indeed. We call it getting your VR legs. And we
Oh,
walk them through a process, where the brain kind of has to catch up to it.
yeah.
Takes about a half hour. It took me a little bit longer. At first, I thought maybe because I'd been in VR before, but not as an educator on this level. I used
Right.
VR previously. That's why I was invited to this team. But I thought, man, have I created career suicide? But no, you go into that space and you do get used to it. Now, if you have things like I woke up with a headache this morning or, something like that, not
Sure.
feeling too well, we can have them enter on a desktop app as well. So we
Oh,
have
yeah.
that flexibility where
That's
if it's
good.
just an off day, I'm not
Right.
feeling it in there, we can go back and forth.
Oh, that's good. It's
Mhm.
just not quite as intense as
Right. You don't have access not only to the immersive field, but also to some of the tools that they have access to inside that immersive space.
but you still get the gist of it.
You do. The
Yeah.
learning still happens. Yes.
Would you say that this is a public charter school?
Yes. They can come to us as through public charters, through ESA accounts in different states and different places.
Mhm.
Some of that is set up, like a lot of our students are home education and we'll be like their provider, their content provider. A lot of those might not take all courses, but might just pick
Right.
usually just the 4 core courses, things like that. So we have students joining from a variety of ways, but our goal is to have free and accessible quality education across the board.
That's
Amazing.
terrific. You'll have graduation as well and be able to issue diplomas. Is that right?
Yes,
Oh.
yes. We have fun with our 8th grade promotion. And again, next year is where we'll have our first graduating class.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
That
so
is so
great.
great. When you are authentically teaching, you need to authentically assess. So what do your assessments look like? Are they
Hmm.
tailored to this?
Yes. So and again, the real world of education, you still have to step into an assessment place where you can match according to other people. So we have iReady as a norm reference test. Our students will take state testing. We just had students finish the PSAT. So you have these spaces.
Mhm.
But, as all good educators, we want them to be critical thinkers and we want them to be engaged. And then we can put what we call, this is our testing genre. This is where we're putting it in test format. This may not be real life, but this is something that's important to real life. So that's kind of how we word that. We look a lot at you've heard the term uncheatable assignments. How do you really show what you know? And so that comes from presentations, that comes from, things that they build, and that
Right.
comes from a lot of the recording. So they can record themselves in VR and that can turn into, presentations outside of VR. And we use a lot of AI to support, and they can
Mhm.
fall onto those tools. But when they step into this immersive space, this is where it's all them. A lot of times we give them choices. Some like to stand on the stage in the Globe Theater and to act out what they're doing. Others, would rather go into the construction and build and create what they're doing and show it that way. And so others don't feel comfortable in front of people, so they can record. So usually our teachers will have a variety of ways that you can show what you know. And then our students will participate in creating the rubrics. What do we expect from this content? And then they can self-assess and say, this is how I met those requirements.
Right.
That's
True
fantastic.
product differentiation. That's great.
Right. Right.
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's terrific. How many students did you say there are in the school right now?
Well, we're onboarding about 80 next week. So we'll be about closer to, I think, just over 1,300. That, 4 years ago, starting with
Wow,
100,
no, that's amazing.
150.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It's making progress. And then again, what we're doing here then spreads out into the product. And so there's about 30,000 independent and public schools that use our platform.
Oh, they
Oh,
do.
They do.
I see. I see.
Wow.
So when
Yeah.
you say onboarding, do you mean for the platform or the school? You're talking about
They're
the
coming to our school. Yes, it takes about a week to onboard a family of students. They come from different backgrounds, and we want to make sure they understand the technology
Right.
because we're a lot. And so we do have tech help all the time, but it takes us about a week to onboard a family to get the students
Sure.
then ready to start Monday.
So this is November. Why are they starting now? Does your school start, or are
No,
they
we
just
can
transferred
roll. We do
school?
a rolling enrollment for our first semester because you can
Okay.
have flexibility within the courses. They can go back and they can catch up. But after the second semester, they need to take a different action
Gotcha.
I see.
Okay.
through
I
our
like
on-demand coursework.
thinking.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
helpful. That's definitely
Mhm.
helpful.
And do
Uh,
you said schools are buying your curriculum as well?
We have the curriculum itself, but a lot of what we're building, and this is where we really feel that education is going and growing, is we're creating the platform. And so through our partnership with Engage, we are talking to them. Like 4 years ago, you couldn't summon students. You couldn't mute individually or collectively. You didn't have the big voice, And so what we do is we're saying, okay, in an educational space, our students need to be able to have a whiteboard to pull up. They need to be able to have sticky notes to write their
Yes.
research. We need to be able to share in these spaces. And so we're creating a place where education can take place. It's this location. And so that's really what we give as we're bringing our product that we're creating in here. Different schools can take different levels of it, depending on how far they want to go into this immersive space. You want a recording we've done? There, that's a good experience. But do you want to build for your own school and your own students? That's a better experience. And we've got all that at Optima.
Sure. So they can choose at what level they want to use it, and then maybe just our science teachers want to use it.
Just our science teachers, here you go. This is the science curriculum for this grade, and you've got a lot of engaging things in there in that lesson. You can just take that whole course and run with it if you want to do that. So we have all the courses. But a lot of teachers like to create their own. Give them that power because then you have student interest and then you get the students creating, and
Sure.
that's where you really see magic happening.
Right. And I would think that you capture a lot of metacognition and you actually get to see what kids are thinking. I would think that it would be so deep, the understanding that teachers could have of their students that we typically
Yes.
don't get.
Yes, and we do try to focus on that. Like as students are leaving, they might have, in their headset, a teacher can do like an exit slip drop down. What did you feel about this lesson? What do you feel your strengths were here and how are you progressing? Or, just, how we have done, the thumbometer. How do you
Yes.
feel about this? You
Right.
do similar things with your arms, in your avatar form in VR. So yes, we want to ask them, how are you creating? And then they do reflect. How did you represent this? Well, how could you do it better? And they do it in groups as well.
Oh,
They do it individually, do it in groups, and one-on-one with teachers as well, right? So they
So,
can. Sounds like there's
yes,
flexibility in the schedule and the setup so that teachers can really easily have that conferencing time, which is golden, I think.
yes,
So
yes,
that's
Yes.
really
yes.
fantastic.
We embed that into the schedule for them to be
Yeah.
able to have that time.
Yeah, and it's
And what,
especially important since they're not together too. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's a
Exactly.
right. And what
To
I
build
think
that
people don't
relationship.
realize is that in a virtual situation, you don't have to take time out for restroom breaks, behaviors, all of those things that take a lot of time in the day. So you don't have to spend an entire day to get done what you can get done. So
What you can
that's
get done in 50 minutes. And,
right. Yes.
we say that on a regular basis, efficiency.
Yeah.
There
It
is
is.
not a teacher in the world that has ever told me that they have enough time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our job is to say what practices, the way we question, the way we create.
Mhm.
It's about
Yes.
efficiency and how do we help all these different levels of learners in this
Yes.
space.
Right.
And when
Yes.
you're in a place where the space itself teaches you,
Right.
that's efficiency.
That's efficient. That's for sure.
Yes.
The space
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James,
And you
that
are.
you're really having FOMO now because I can
Oh,
just
yeah.
see the patience to science.
Total.
yes.
fun. Oh, yeah. Tons of science, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Science would just be amazing.
And I love how iReady came to you and said, why are your students doing so well? And you attribute it to the immersion, right? The opportunity for them to have the space as one of their teachers, right? The
Yes.
space is the place for them to be learning. And because of
Right.
that, they are continually being curious, asking questions, actually caring
Yes.
about what they're doing. And they show up because there's excitement and something and people to do it for and with. So, and sometimes they don't feel that way even when they're in person. So sounds like that space is created for them.
Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And very fun.
And
Very
that-
fun.
Or-
Our teachers love their jobs. It's a place to create, and then it's a place to see creation. And that's when you know the teacher joy that hits you when you're like, oh, this student got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the aha moment, the Vygotsky
Yes.
aha moment. There's nothing better. Yeah.
This is a new level.
Yeah.
This is a new level. When when you're in, it was an 8th grade history class, and you go into this green grassy field, and the teacher says, I need to know how this piece of water, a pond, a river, a lake, can build a civilization. And then you watch them play with that, and you see how they're choosing to channel that water.
Right.
And what comes first? Do we have crops? Do we have a store? Do we have a building? Where is it going? Where is it growing? And you're watching the conversation happen. And that's when you're like, aha, okay, now tell me what is needed for this civilization. And it just happens so organically in that space. It's beautiful to see.
I bet it is. Yes.
Hands on to a new level. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure. Wow.
Yes.
If I live in Kansas, can I enroll in your school?
So what we're looking at, anybody can come for self-pay. I will say it's a low number of students because our goal is we want again free and accessible education for all. Anyone can come, but we really are looking, in states that have educational savings accounts where parents can make a choice and say brick and mortar is not working for us.
Right.
The majority, though, you can tell, and as you go into schools and are seeing more immersive, this just works for every student. But this type of learning is critical for students that have not had success in brick and mortar spaces.
Right.
And, the average of our student comes to us, we have, 14% of schools, they're IEP students. Ours is 28% with many that have never been to school nor been documented. So we have students that have come into these spaces of education and not had successful experience. They usually come to us 2 to 3 grade levels below, and especially in math. Takes us a couple years to catch them up, but they find a place. Like, for example, a dyslexic student. We know naturally they see in 3 dimensions, right? We're giving them that place.
Right.
You can put a piece, the book that they're reading, you can put the page in there and you can touch it and you can interact with it, and then you can create it and visualize it, and all of a sudden it makes sense.
Wow.
And so we have this place where we're opening it up for success, for students to shine the way they were meant to shine, using the strengths in the way their brains work.
Sure.
It's amazing.
And I
It's
want
so
people to
amazing.
know, too, that there are a lot of students that come that just don't have time for school. Like we had one that was an Olympic hopeful, and she had to practice so much that she didn't have time for 8 hours at school. We had one that was an actress on a sitcom. She didn't have time for school. So it's not always, I think people put kids in a box like, oh, they've been bullied or this or that. But there's so many reasons that you might select this.
And we have those. We are NCAA approved. And so we do have
Good.
athletes and they have a choice.
Yeah.
They can say, I want to take, like this morning class fits my schedule, but I need to take this as well. So I'm going to do this one on demand. I'm going to do this
Right.
one with your live teachers. And we want to make life right now is very flexible. People want flexible. And so we
Right.
want to make education accessible in that way. They can take it with them. So we have travel nurses that travel all over the United States and they take their children with them and they are
Yes.
still in school. So there's a lot of different things that can take place.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love the stories. They're just so unique.
Yeah. We have students. We have students that are on their sick beds, and it is
Yeah.
remarkable to see them
Yeah.
in VR and avatar forms being leaders.
Oh,
Yeah.
And and those are students where we're sad to see them go back to brick and mortar, but we are celebrating, and they're
yes.
going back without having lost
Right.
education,
Right.
and nor their personality, nor
Yeah.
who
Right.
they are. They were who they were. They were not their illness in that space, and it's
Right.
beautiful to be able to
Exactly.
provide a place for,
Mhm.
like you said, a very wide variety, and to see our students who are gifted excel.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Wow.
I'm
You are
wondering if you
doing
just lost me
amazing
again.
work.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Yes.
exciting. We're making it happen.
gifts
So,
all
Kim,
around.
as we start to wrap up here,
Yes.
I want to ask you, in your time with this school, what has become clear to you?
That we are on the tip of the iceberg. When we first started, we just thought immersive learning was for retention and to have attention and make it
Wow.
fun. No, we are learning how this impacts education across new boundaries, new types of students. So this year I asked one of my teachers to dive deep into dyslexic therapy from this perspective. We're looking at the autistic student, we're looking at the gifted student, we're
Yes.
looking at career development, we're looking at all of these spaces, and we're saying this is the beginning, and how we are using this space and AI combined. Well, it's all kind of part. We look at AI as part of this spatial computing. It all builds together, but we're looking and saying this is the beginning. I would say every 2 weeks when we meet as a faculty, we realized that what we had done 2 weeks previously was outdated.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, it's just
Incredible.
moving that fast.
That is amazing. Now, will you be part of the FETC ER?
Well, yes. Oh my goodness, yes. We are so excited. We actually have 12 teachers. We have a room
Wow.
that's going
Yes.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we have it set up where, like if you've never put a headset on, you can
Right.
come to the skills training. And that's like the first course. We have some teachers, we're calling it level 1, where if you're just kind of
Wow.
new, but not sure
I
how to
lost
move
her.
and build, then you can go into level 1 and you can learn content that way. But our teachers are going to be bringing their lesson all the way up to a level 5, where you'll have,
Oh my.
how AI bots are going to be helping in this space to individualize. So yes, look at the schedule and say, what's my favorite subject area? Do you want Spanish? Do you want ELA? And
Yes.
then sign up to come. We can have 20 in each of these sessions. So
Oh,
yes.
Jamie, I think we better
Yes.
sign up.
I think we should sign up and then we can record when we're there, like our testing it. We could do another follow-up to this.
Oh,
So
wouldn't that be great?
not just one session, Kim, you're saying that there's like offerings of several of these, right?
Oh, yes. It's going to be
Okay.
running straight Monday through Wednesday. And we're just going to be running 45-minute sessions. Will you come in? Our teacher will be on a Teams. We'll put on the headsets and go and experience. Come back out and there'll be time for questions. And then we'll run another
Love
session 10 minutes later.
All
So
right,
it's just
sign
going
us
to go
up.
back to back.
Sign us up. We'll be there.
Yes, we will be there.
Oh, yes.
That-
I'm so
fantastic.
excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this is so great. Kim, I'm
Yes.
so excited. And I just the way you described it, I picture you and your staff getting together with these light bulbs above your heads every time, with all of these like wow moments and these
Yes.
opportunities for you to say, we can do this, we can go here, we can do this. I mean, gosh, innovation is so thwarted in other environments, but here, I mean, it's endless, endless.
Yes.
So
Yes,
fabulous.
you are
And
correct.
encouraged.
Oh,
And-
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, this has been delightful, Kim.
Wow, thank you
Absolutely
so
delightful and
much.
eye-opening and boundary breaking.
boundary
Everything good.
Yes, you are the quintessential guest.
Whoa, I love it because there's just so much out there for everyone.
Yes.
I love it.
So how can
Oh,
people follow you? I don't think I followed, like I want to see everything you're doing every day. Like how
Okay.
can people do that?
Well,
Mhm.
just this past month or so, my teachers have really been posting on LinkedIn. They've been sharing pictures of their lessons or videos and things like that. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. You know,
Okay.
Kim Abel, I'm right there, Optima Academy on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, optima.academy online, and you can check out everything that's going there. But if you're really wanting to get a feel for what teachers are, I do recommend looking at what they're posting on social media because they're really having a lot of fun sharing what they're
Yes.
learning.
This looks fantastic.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you having me. This has been wonderful.
It has been. It has been.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to stay linked up, be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube.